March Madness's first weekend truly was madness, where we saw some crazy upsets and buzzer beaters. And in this episode, I'm going to be talking a lot about that, along with some NBA expansion rumors and even maybe some NASCAR. So tune in right after the intro. For tuning into podcast number 91 of Sports Talk with JWock. I am your host, Jonah Walkenfoos, and today we have some interesting topics to talk about. In this episode, I apologize to you NFL fans. We don't have anything to really talk about this week just because it just feels like there's not much to talk about in the NFL that's new, at least. It just feels like the same free agency, the draft's coming up kind of stuff, but there's really nothing like big that happened in between weeks or episodes, should I say, from the last one I uploaded. So I apologize. There will not be one this week. Expect one probably in the next one. But in this episode, like you kind of heard from the intro, we're going to be talking about the NBA and the expansion talks along with possible contenders. Also, some March Madness stuff that goes down and the first weekend that already happened, and then even some NASCAR. And let's actually start with NASCAR because I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not going to go into too much detail with it just because I don't follow NASCAR that well or that much, I guess, but there is some history that was made, and who doesn't like history that goes down in any sport? So Tyler Reddick, the driver, he's driving number 45 for the company or the brand 23XI Racing Toyota. He has won his fourth NASCAR Cup Series race in the 2026 season. Those four races were the Daytona 500, Echo Park Speedway, Circuit of the Americas or COTA, and then Darlington Raceway. So this is actually some crazy stuff going down because we're just in March and he's already won four major NASCAR Cup Series races, which is very impressive. And actually that makes history as he is now, as Tyler Reddick, the racer or the race car driver, is the first driver to win the first three races of a season in NASCAR history. So Tyler Reddick is having a historic start to the 2026 campaign for NASCAR, and that's definitely going to be something to keep an eye on. I'm going to really try to branch out into more sports, so bear with me if I'm not really going into too much detail with NASCAR. I'm really working on trying to just implement more sports so I could get a bigger community of just not just basketball and football, but maybe NASCAR, hockey, baseball, and other stuff. So if you are a fan of those sports and you want to come on this episode, whether that's in person or virtually, we can make that work. Just let me know down below. You can either comment that, you could go on my Instagram or Facebook and message me, and I would be more than happy to invite you onto the podcast. And like I said, it could be either in person or virtually, and we could do whatever topic you want to talk about, whether that's related to sports at least. But back to this NASCAR news, 23XI, I don't know if I'm saying that right, by the way, correct me if I'm wrong, but that is owned by Michael Jordan, who's the majority owner and AKA the GOAT of basketball, at least in my opinion. And then the NASCAR driver, Denny Hamlin, who's a minority owner in this, and this was founded in 23XI was founded in 2020, and it features drivers like Bubba Wallace and, like we just recently mentioned, Tyler Reddick. So congratulations to 23XI and Tyler Reddick for having a hot start so far in 2026. We'll see if that continues to go on throughout the year, and that'll be definitely something to monitor. But let's get on to some NBA content where we're going to be talking about contenders and pretenders, and then also some more expansion talks as it's continuing to heat up throughout the weeks. So as far as contenders go, or I'm not going to be talking about pretenders, sorry, I'm just going to be talking about contenders. And I'm going to name one contender from the Western Conference and one contender from the Eastern Conference. This personally is actually going to be my finals prediction as of now. I could change that come playoff time, just depending on how injuries go down, like if players are healthy or not and whatnot. But let's first talk about the Western Conference, where I still have the Oklahoma City Thunder being the contenders, sitting at a record of 57-15 and first in the Western Conference, along with just having the best record in the NBA. 57-15 is an incredible record. So There's about 10 games left, I believe, give or take, in the season for about each team in the NBA. And the Thunder have been dominant all season long. They had that little bit of a hiccup kind of in November, December, if I can remember, just kind of when they had a couple losses in a row. But they've been very dominant all season long, it feels like. And I don't know, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, to me, seems like the clear-cut MVP. If he gets that 65-game mark, if he doesn't, very well could go to Luka Doncic for his first, which I think Lakers fans would be very excited about. But I do think this Thunder team is so good from, your high-end talent to your depth. I mean, you just have so much talent on this team. Trading for Jared McCain has to be one of the best moves of this deadline so far, along with also one of the worst moves Philly could have done at the deadline is moving off of Jared McCain, a second-year player who's incredibly young and is now filling in his role perfectly with the Thunder, it feels like. So that's just an added weapon to the arsenal of an already stacked roster of the Oklahoma City Thunder, and that, to me, makes them huge contenders and the favorites going into the rest of the season and the postseason. And then for the Eastern Conference, I have the New York Knicks sitting at a record of 45-25. That's their current record, and they're sitting third in the East. I have them as my contenders in the Eastern Conference. So, I mean, if you can't guess already, I have the Thunder versus the Knicks in the NBA Finals. If the playoffs were to start today, that very much could change, like I mentioned earlier. But the Knicks also look good. Adding Jose Alvarado, from the trade deadline was an incredible move that I think is kind of under the radar right now. Just because Jose Alvarado, realistically, is not going to be the guy that's going to have to go out and score 20-plus points a game. He's going to be the guy that could come off the bench, relieve Jalen Brunson, give Jalen Brunson some time on the bench to be able to recover, and he's going to just be that dog defensively. He's just a great defensive player, and he's got a very high IQ offensively and defensively that can very much lead to winning basketball. We have yet to see Jose Alvarado in the playoffs or in real contention because he's been on the Pelicans. I'm not sure if the Pelicans made the playoffs with Jose Alvarado yet. I'll have to double check that. But overall, this Knicks team looks good as well. They have that high-end talent with Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, Bridges, players like them. And then they have very solid players as well in Anunoby, McBride, if he can get back to health. Mitchell Robinson's been playing really well. I would put Anunoby in the higher end talent. But anyways, regardless, this Knicks team is talented. I really like what this Knicks team has done, even though they're one of my least favorite teams in the NBA. But let me know what you guys think down below. Who are your biggest contending teams in the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference? Let me know that down below. But we're going to get to another topic that's in the NBA right now, where Shams Charania actually just recently tweeted, and I'll put that tweet up on the screen for you guys to see, so you guys can read it if you'd like. Where the NBA governors approve the vote to explore expansion for Seattle and Las Vegas, where it's not official yet, but they are now going to be really looking into it and possibly getting that ready for, I believe, the 2028-2029 season. I'm not 100% sure about that, if that's the right year or not. I can't remember. I said that in the last episode, but things are getting spicy in the NBA, where we could be seeing 2 new teams, which means 2 teams would be moving to the Eastern Conference from the Western Conference, assuming it would probably be the Timberwolves and I can't remember. I think it's the Pelicans, but I could be wrong about that. I think there was one more team that might be able to get moved. I think it might be the Grizzlies, but I'm not sure about that. Don't take my word on that. But things could get interesting. I personally love that Seattle is going to be getting a new team if that actually ends up going through, which I think it will. I'm not the biggest fan of Las Vegas getting a team, in my opinion. I just feel like, how's that going to work with the NBA Cup? Because we know that the semifinals and finals of the NBA Cup is held in Vegas. How's that going to play out if Vegas is a team already? Are they going to relocate where the NBA Cup will be? Will they keep it there? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think Vegas is a good spot to put a team? we really have no say in it, but I just would like to know your opinion. But anyways, that's kind of what's going on in the NBA. We talked about NASCAR. That was new, and that's definitely a difficult topic for me. But let's talk about the main topic today, which is March Madness. I mean, we had the first weekend, which was the first and second round of March Madness, and my bracket was completely busted in after the first game between TCU and Ohio State, where I had Ohio State winning that. I don't know why I picked Ohio State. As a Michigan fan, I definitely should have picked TCU because, why would I want Ohio State to win? But that was definitely a crazy game. That I believe that game went to overtime. I can't remember, but TCU won that game 66-64. It was a close game all game long. It was definitely stressful. I also picked Wisconsin to make my Sweet 16, and High Point absolutely just said, nope, you're wrong. So March Madness came off to a crazy start. One of the craziest endings I've ever watched, and if you guys watched this game live, it was insane. It was between Kentucky and Santa Clara, where that final score was 89-84. But in overtime, Kentucky kind of took over that game. But it was the end of regulation where we saw Santa Clara hit a wing three to take the lead by 3 with little to no time to get a shot off, right? Kentucky gets a miracle shot from just past half court to tie the ball game up at the buzzer, and that sends them to overtime. I mean, on the first day, or sorry, that was the second day, I believe. But anyways, the first round, we already saw crazy madness. I'm just trying to look at some other maybe possible upsets that went down other than the High Point. That was a big one for sure. But in the second round, I mean, Iowa beating Florida 73-72. Talk about a crazy upset there. St. John's had a buzzer beater against Kansas to move on to the Sweet 16. Now they'll be facing Duke. I've had multiple people or seen multiple people on the internet talking about how March Madness hasn't been the same. There's not as much Cinderella runs, and understandably so. I know we always want to see those teams and schools that aren't from a big area move on to the Sweet 16 and Elite 8. But to be honest with you, I kind of like the way it is right now. I like how we have these high-end teams going at it against each other and playing in the final bits of this March Madness tournament now. It's just going to be even more competition, in my opinion, and that just makes it better to me. I like the more close games rather than blowouts, in my opinion. I don't know what you guys think, but we still have 3 number 1 seeds from what I'm looking at, just looking at the bracket. We still have all 4 number 2 seeds, if I'm not mistaken, unless I am wrong about that. But I think, we do have all 4 number 2 seeds. We have a couple number 3 seeds. Arkansas, the 4 seed, going against Arizona. Darius Acuff's been balling out. His stock's been rising in the draft. Things are going to get interesting there. Texas, the number 11 seed, is going against Purdue in a couple days. As I'm recording this on Wednesday. So March Madness has just been extremely fun to watch, and I cannot wait to see how the Sweet 16 is going to go because we have some incredible matchups. Let me know how quickly your bracket was broken from the first weekend, and then also who do you have winning the whole thing? Even if your pick has already been eliminated, that's okay. Pick a new team and tell me who you think is going to win this March or this the NCAA tournament, because right now I still picked Arizona on my thing and I still think they can, but man, is Michigan looking good. I tell you what, and that makes me happy as a Michigan fan. But let me know what you guys think down below. And then we have one more little topic that kind of got mentioned yesterday, but North Carolina is parting ways with their head coach, which means there's going to be a new Hubert Davis is their head coach, by the way, or was their head coach, which means there's going to be a new North Carolina coach heading that way, which one name that was really mentioned was the current GM for the Boston Celtics, Brad Stevens, one of the best college coaches and NBA coaches I've witnessed as in my lifetime, because he's a great coach, but he definitely turned that down pretty quickly. He has a great job being the GM of Boston. He's really done a great job there, so I don't blame him for turning that down. But now a big name that actually would make me as a Bulls fan very happy is Billy Donovan is actually a big name. Billy Donovan, if you don't know, has a very successful resume in college basketball, took Florida to back-to-back championships and won them. I believe he has 4 Final Four appearances. Like, he is a very respectable coach in the basketball world. He's also a Hall of Famer. He was inducted to that this last summer. So Billy Donovan could be a very good candidate for North Carolina and could possibly help turn around this North Carolina program, which, to be honest with you, has been very disappointing the last few years. I know they made the Final Four, I believe, Hubert Davis's first season as the head coach. But then after that, it's been kind of disappointing. I mean, Hubert Davis, one of the best recruiters, adding a player like Caleb Wilson was unbelievable. But it's just, I've talked to a friend about it. He said Hubert Davis was a great recruiter. It was just the coaching part that he really struggled with. So if they could find a guy like Billy Donovan who can be a very good coach, will he be good at recruiting? That's the big question. But do you think Billy Donovan could be a good head coaching candidate for North Carolina, or do you think they should look for a different guy like Stephen A. Smith mentioned, I think earlier today? He mentioned Kenny Smith, which would be a very interesting one, looking more internally of people that went to North Carolina. But let me know what you guys think down below. Anyways, let me catch my breath. That is going to be podcast number 91 of Sports Talk with JWock. I appreciate all of your guys' support continuously. We have been growing this channel. I mean, I don't really look at the subscriber count and go, that's my success. I look at how the viewership goes, because that tells me that you guys like these videos. And we've been getting up there in the viewers, which is awesome. And I appreciate every single one of you. I wouldn't be able to do this without you. And I just want to give a quick update. Next week, there will be no episode. That is next week. If you don't know, it's Holy Week, and I'm going to be spending time with that instead of doing a podcast, just taking a week off. And then the week after Easter, we will be back onto the podcast for podcast 92. So I just wanted to give you guys a quick update, just because I wanted to take a week off, and what a better week to take off than Holy Week. So I once again just want to thank you guys for the support. Tell your friends and family about this podcast. I really love having all you guys being able to comment on my videos as well, making some debates. I love debating with you guys, especially when it's a nice civil conversation. I always appreciate that, and it always makes me, think about other people's perspectives, which I would have maybe never thought, which I really appreciate. But anyways, you could check me out on all social media platforms, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or X, I guess, which I'm not very active on Twitter or X, by the way, for that category. You can check me out on Spotify, TikTok, whatever, YouTube. We're on so many different platforms. We're trying to get to more as well. So you can always check me out on all those. It's all in the description below. You could check out my handles and stuff so that you could type that in for whatever platform you're looking on. But anyways, I hope you all have an amazing week. God bless.